All right, guys, welcome back. 1776 or bust on the table. You see this kind of plain Jane box, and obviously on the box it reads Masada from IWI, and super excited about this gun. This is going to be my initial thoughts on the handgun. So if you're looking for range footage and an overall, you have to wait for the next video installment, which is when I will discuss what my impressions were after shooting it. Now, in all honesty, I actually have already shot the gun. However, I do want to share with you some of my initial thoughts when I first got the gun, finally. It took me about 2 months to get it, thank you, Ulster County, New York. But I wanted to share with you what my actual impressions were initially. And there was some really interesting impressions versus what I found when I shot the handgun. And I have to say, overall, this gun is, in my opinion, the sleeper gun of the year. I still think right now that if you're in the market for a gun that offers a lot of considerable options for you, this is the one you want to be looking for because of the fact that it just comes with everything. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So this is a box, very plain stuff. I mean, it has an instruction manual, which you can tell I haven't even opened. It's got this, I don't know what this is, boomerang or something like that. It does come with a bunch of other pieces to it. It actually comes with like a little cool little, I don't know what that is. I guess like a keychain or a tag or something. I don't know. But this might be why the overall price on this handgun is fairly inexpensive, because they don't give you a fancy case or anything like that. It's just a box, which, you know, in my opinion, is not that bad of a deal. I don't really use any of the cases when I buy the handgun. So for me, it doesn't really matter. And in this case, take the box and you store it to the side in the back there somewhere. So let's talk about some of the features that this gun comes with, which are plentiful to be for sure and exact. What you're going to notice here is that it does have several plates, or a couple of plates that it comes with, plus the one that I'm using right now, and I'll show that to you in a minute. And then this is the actual plate cover, and let me zoom in on that so you guys can see that. And hopefully this will come out a little bit brighter. It looks a little bit dark, but nonetheless, it comes with some screws for mounting, which is kind of cool. And it does say on there for the Delta Point Pro, the RMR, and also the Venom and Romeo. So it's kind of cool because it actually comes with mounting screws. And the mounting screws so far have been pretty good, at least for the one that I have mounted. It also comes with two different back straps. This one right here is the small back strap. Currently, I'm using the medium back strap on the handgun because it felt sort of the most comfortable. I would say that the small one was nice, but it was just too small. It didn't give you enough real, I guess you could say, grip in regards to the handgun. But this is a small one. You can see there's not a real pronounced hump in the back there or anything like that. And if you have a small hand, this will absolutely work for you. It also comes with the large grip, and you can see there's a bigger hump in the back here. And I might go to this one. I'm not sure. I'm actually stuck between this one and the medium. I'm going to shoot it again, obviously, but I'm going to shoot it next time with the large. I just wanted to spend a full day with the medium and really gather some thoughts on it. Again, it also comes with some polymer plates. Now, this is kind of unique because obviously most plates are made out of some form of steel or something like that. In this case, these are all actually made out of polymer, and they don't really bend. I mean, they're fairly rigid in regards to polymer. You can see this one here is for the Delta Point Pro. So that's kind of nice. It has a mounting plate for that. And again, it's pretty cool. It comes with a shelf or a lip in the front and also one for the back. So as you put it on, it'll sit nice and snugly on there. Again, I had an optic mounted already and I had no issues with it whatsoever. The second one you see here is going to be for the Romeo. And this will also fit your Vortex Venom as well. So again, a very nice option and a nice feature. And this is the mounting plate. Again, two screws on there. This is also made of polymer, which I guess is fine because most people are going to remove this anyway and put the actual optic on there, which is the whole point of the handgun. So for me, it's not a big deal. Again, it's nice and blazoned IWI in there, which is pretty cool. And overall, I didn't even use this. I took it right off and removed it. So let's take a look at the handgun. Let me zoom out a little bit now for this one. So here we go. This is the IWI Masada. Now, I'm going to say that my first impressions of this handgun were kind of a mixed bag. You know, first off, I have to say, if you're into the looks of a handgun, this is fantastic. It looks really nice. It's got a very nice, modern, sleek look to it. And I have to say, it is very, even though it is a very nice gun, it is a very plain gun. And what I mean by that is, you notice there's not a heck of a lot on the slide. There are obviously some little nice designs here on the side. The serrations are very cool, and I'll explain why that is in a minute. But you can see right in the front there, all it says there is Masada, and it's not very deep. It's fairly thin into the steel, which is kind of interesting, you know. So it's not a really, you can't really feel it. It's not a very tactile type of thing. Again, you can see some of the markings on the rear where the gun is made, Israel, and also in Pennsylvania, I believe, Middletown, PA, and IWI, Israel. You can see that you also have your full pick rail on the front, which is nice. And one of the cool features is the way this bevels up with the barrel. Again, this is very reminiscent of a lot of, I guess you can say, the way the Jericho looks in the front. It's very familiar to people when they see that design. And I like it. I think it's a really cool design cue that they kept. One of the other things that was actually pretty neat too was the trigger. The trigger is actually a pretty cool looking trigger. It's got, again, some designing cues on there, which, whatever you want to say about it, it is actually pretty cool looking. And again, you can see that the grips here, you have the removable back panel here. However, you do have your IWI, which is over here as well. And the panel actually fits around that. So it's actually, again, a very nicely structured handgun. Ambi controls, you've got your slide release, slide lock on both sides. You've got your takedown lever, and of course your mag releases, which are ambidextrous as well. However, there's maybe a slight problem with that. And we're going to start with some of the things that I noticed initially when I bought the gun and finally was able to put my hands on it. So first off, my initial impression of the trigger was not a good one. As a matter of fact, when I initially dry fired, and again, keep in mind all the guns are clear. When I initially dry fired the handgun, one of the things I noticed was that the trigger just felt really spongy. And as I pulled that trigger and as I got to the wall, it was a nice clean break, but still a little bit of sponginess in that beginning of the trigger. The reset initially also I thought was a little bit long. I'm slightly reconsidering that now after I had my experience shooting with it, but it is slightly longer than most guns. I will tell you it's definitely longer than a P10 and a PPQ. However, it is a very nice feeling reset. And what I mean by that is that there's not a lot of overspringiness, if that's a word, so that it is a very controllable, nice, soft reset. Again, the trigger feels like it rolls into it, which I do like. And I have to say, it's actually very smooth now that I've played around with it much more. And that was kind of my initial impression. And now what I'm actually noticing about the trigger is that it's actually a fairly solid trigger. It's very controllable. It's a very nice, smooth feeling trigger. Very reminiscent of, let's say, an M&P. With that, even though it has a tactile reset now, it's still not necessarily the most positive. And I would say this one isn't very positive, but it's just a very natural feeling trigger. And I have to say, I've been very pleased with it. Magazines came with two 10-rounders. Yes, 10-rounders. Made of steel, very nice looking magazines. Again, you can see they do put some stuff on there. Hopefully the camera will focus. Maybe not. But you can see they did put the 9x19 millimeter and then the IWI marking there as well. Probably more than likely these are made in Italy, which it says right there. So we know what those are. These are Mekgar mags. So again, you can find these magazines on IWI's website. I believe they're about 20 to 25 bucks, which is fairly good. Some companies are charging $30 to $35 for magazines. Again, being that this is a lower cost handgun, you would hope the magazines are lower cost as well. And as a result, you're still getting good quality from the Mekgar mags at a reasonable price, in my opinion. You'll also notice that the sights on here, these are actually metal sights. I think they're metal. I don't know. Maybe they're plastic. I didn't really tell. Let me see. Well, they feel like they're metal. Who knows? But anyway, I believe they're metal sights. Again, they're nothing to write home about. They're okay. I didn't even use them, to be honest with you. I went right to the red dot, as you can see, mounted on the handgun. But nonetheless, they seem to be very low profile. However, even with the red dot on here, they can slightly co-witness. So that's kind of interesting. They're not super high, but they're not super low, so that you can't necessarily make out that front sight on here. So, I mean, that's pretty good in my opinion. Again, I eventually want to change these out I do want to get some co-witnessing sights. However, I do want to get a little bit better at shooting the red dot. Again, the mounting system is fairly easy to use. This is actually one of the Swamp Fox Kingslayers here that I used on my first day out. And you can see that the mounting is actually fairly low. As a matter of fact, let me get this into the camera. What you're going to see here, though, is that the plate, the little polymer plate here, actually works really well with the slide. And it actually sinks a little bit deeper than I thought it would. So it's actually a fairly low-lying optic. And again, this isn't necessarily the smallest optic that I own, but at the same time, it fit really nicely. So again, Masada did a great job. IWI did a fantastic job with this gun. Now, one of the other things that I noticed were the serrations. The serrations in the back are fairly wide. They're fairly grippy, so you shouldn't have any issues with that. One of the things I also did notice was the serrations on the front here. The serrations on the front are kind of interesting for a simple reason, or one simple reason. And that simple reason is basically to how they kind of I guess you could say how they actually made a thinner one and then a thicker one at the top. So if you're doing those front press checks, you grab it from the top and you have a lot to grip onto. So it's kind of a nice looking touch. And it actually works really well. And other than that, I mean, the gun has been built fairly solidly. Now, takedown wise, let me just see here 1 second. I want to try something. So takedown, again, you have your takedown lever, you push it forward, very, very much like a SIG, and it comes apart here. Now, again, there's really nothing different here than any other gun you're going to see. Very traditional in regards to the, the plunger and the striker channel and all that other great stuff. The barrel itself is not too bad. Again, if I can get it out. And this gun is pretty dirty because I did shoot several hundred rounds through it. But again, you can see the barrel right here. Again, it's not a high polished barrel, but other than that, it's fairly good. Again, very nice. Everything seems to be in order, even inside the gun itself. I did not notice that there was any spiraling marks or any machining marks inside, and everything is coated very nicely. Nothing, no blemishes, nothing, really. Again, this is supposed to be a modular handgun. Again, I don't know if it is in regards to trying it out because I'm not going to try it out at this particular moment in time. But it is supposed to be a modular gun, which means that eventually, hopefully, we'll see some grip changes here that we can do. I know they're going to be releasing some models in FDE and OD green, which would be cool if they could actually get those grip modules out. And then we can, replace that and get a whole new grip, sort of like the SIGs and the APXs out there in the world. Again, at this point, the Masada, the initial impressions that I had are very good. And in regards to this handgun, one of the things you have to realize is that you're getting a lot of gun for the money. This gun cost me $400 out the door. There are some places right now that you can find them for $350, $375, around that mark. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, you definitely need to jump on this gun. It is totally worth it. Comparatively speaking to some of the other guns that are in that price point, I know the M&P series, which are fantastic handguns as well. You can find some of the compacts going for about $400, some of the full size for the same price. But one of the things you have to realize is you're going to get a lot more with this handgun because you're getting the optic ready version, and it's right out of the box, and you're getting all the plates, you're getting everything else. And that's why I also would even say something like a P10 with the optics ready P10s coming out. I mean, for them to not have those plates available from the get-go, I have a problem with, for the simple fact that you're paying money for a gun. You shouldn't have to pay extra to get the plates. Again, $400, you're getting 3 plates for 3 of probably the most common optics out there. The RMR set, which again fits a whole bunch of different ones. Like, for example, this is the RMR plate, and I've got the Swamp Fox on here. I also have 2 Holosuns that can go on here as well, and also the Vortex series as well as the Delta Point Pro. To me, for $400 and getting all of that stuff with it, plus a very good trigger out of the box, very nicely made with a great track record like IWI, I don't know why you wouldn't buy this gun. Again, it's maybe not necessarily for everybody due to the size. I would say that is definitely more of a Glock 17 size and definitely a full-size M&P 4 1/4 inch. But again, this was made for the military, made for police, and as a result, you're going to get a duty weapon. However, I'm hoping in the future they'll put a compact out there because that will rock. But right now, guys, I have to say, my initial impressions on this gun right here, this is a no-brainer. If you're on the market for a striker-fired handgun that comes with everything out of the box, that you probably can conceal carry with really no hassle at all. If I can find a holster for it, would be nice. But you can conceal carry this probably. You can take this to the range and have a very nice day shooting because 450 rounds, this thing was flawless. Didn't heat up overly much. I didn't feel any discomfort shooting at all. It was really just a good day, but we'll talk more about that in the next installment. But overall, IWI Masada, $400 for everything you saw in this video. You guys need to go and get this gun. Totally worth it. So let me know what you think about the Masada. Tell me if you have any experience with it or if you're interested in getting this gun. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Leave those comments down below, and I hope you have a great week. Stay safe, and as always, everyone, freedom is never free.